Today, on Be Something Wonderful, the answer to this question determines your entire life experience. I am your host, Tom Karen, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back. I had a second session with a client, good guy. He's in his mid-30s, and in our first session, he said, Tom, I feel stuck. I feel like my career's not going anywhere. I don't have the love in my life that I really want. I do want a family. I want children. I want so many things. I want to advance in my career. I want more money. I want to have more fun. I want to have more freedom. And he says, it just feels still to me. I just don't know how to get out of this rut. And as we talked, I said, well, tell me your story. And as you guys know, I encourage you not to tell stories of the way you don't want things to be. But this was a critical point to start with him. I said, oh, and as he was telling me his story, as he was sort of finishing, and it was really never ending, as we'll point out, your story never ends. We went over his story, and I took notes as he's telling his story, and pointed out how many times that he was complaining, he was criticizing, he was reacting to life, he was labeling things, all of that. And when I pointed that out, it almost shocked him that the life that he has is all this. It's everything he's criticizing about, everything he's reacting to, everything he's labeling, complaining. That's the life he's living because that's the life he's creating. I really want to hit this. In our second session, he was like, oh my God, it's changed everything, right? He's now telling a new story, the way he would want things to be. And that's now the way things are. He's seeing it through a new lens, through that higher inner being, that higher self, right? So remember, complaining is creating. Criticizing is creating. Reacting is creating. Labeling is creating. That's the life. That becomes your life. And it becomes your entire life experience. When? Now. And now, and now. As that now moment moves, that becomes your life, right? And then you start looking at the past, complaining about that. And most of it is. It's all in the past, right? Or complaining about how you don't know how to make it work. You don't know how to create the future that you want, right? You see reality as separate or as something out there. All of that, as I was pointing out to him, he saw everything as outside himself. Right? This is big. Remember, you're defining 3D reality, the people, events, and conditions as something independent of you when you're complaining, when you're criticizing, when you're reacting, when you're labeling, when you're telling an old story of the way things that things are not what you want them to be. Right? You're creating that story. Right? You see yourself as an effect rather than the cause. Really got this point to him, that he sees himself as the effect of his life rather than the cause of his life. That's so big. We've talked about the movie analogy, and I think it's perfect here. And he did see some videos on that, but I laid it out with him one more time that remember, your beliefs, your assumptions, your thoughts, your emotions create the frames of your life. They create the story of your life. The story you're telling, your inner talking, your inner speech, by your beliefs, your assumptions, how you see the world, that all is your film roll that you have selected as your life. In other words, it's the lifeline or the film roll or the reality that you're selecting as your life. And there are infinite number of film rolls you can choose from, infinite number of realities that you can choose from. Why choose one to complain about and label and react to, right? Remember, when you're doing all that, when you're criticizing, when you're labeling, when you're complaining about and reacting to 3D reality, it's not separate from the stream of consciousness that created them. That you're reacting to this screen. You're reacting to the outer screen of life, right, of 3D reality. You're criticizing, you're labeling, complaining about, and reacting to 3D. It's not separate. Whatever it is that you're complaining about or criticizing or reacting to or labeling, it's not separate from the stream of consciousness that created them. It's not separate from you, your consciousness, your light. Wow, that is big, right? You are the perceiver. the perceiving, and the perception. You are the projector, the projection, and the light. And you're the screen. You're the producer, editor, actor, screen, light, screen. It's all you. Screen twice. That's how big. That's how big I wanted to make a point. You're reacting to all of it. You are all of that, right? So remember, the film roll is your story. This film roll is your story. These frames that you knit together becomes your life experience, right? Your entire life experience. Your film roll or lifeline or alternative or parallel reality has its own unique script. So each film roll that you determine, the hue of your life, the nature, the genre of your life, that has its own unique script, right? So if you're picking a genre of fear, you're going to have a fearful script. If you're picking from a genre of love, you're going to have a loving script, right? That becomes your script. The script's written. You can't change that. Can't be changed. And each film roll has its own script. But you can choose a new film roll and shift to a new alternative reality that has a new script. And that's what you're doing all the time. You're shifting realities with new scripts. And then you're fighting against the script. You're complaining and criticizing and reacting to and labeling the script, which keeps you tied and bound to the script, right? You choose by the story you're telling about your life. That's how you choose the film roll. In other words, are you imagining? Are you assuming? Are you lighting up your wish fulfilled, how you wish your life to be, as if it already is? Are you lighting that up? Are you rolling that film slide in your head? Have you created that picture? Have you put yourself in the picture? Are you seeing yourself through the eyes of that future you? Because that's how you create your ideal reality, right? You choose by the story you're telling about your life. Two principal genres are in the world of 3D reality is fear or love. Which is it? Because that's all it ever can be. Sure, there can be romance and there can be drama, but all of it is based on these two genres. There's only two, fear or love. What are you picking? So where is your attention, in other words, right? Where's your attention? Where's your light? Where's your awareness, right? Remember, your awareness creates reality. And so here's usually our attention's either on our awareness, our attention's either on the inner screen or the outer screen, right? It's either on the inner screen where we're lost in unwanted thoughts or past images, or it's on the outer screen. You're looking at things to criticize, label, complain about, and react to. These are also past images. Either way, you're in the dead past, right? You're on the inner screen, lost in unwanted thoughts. You're in the outer screen, lost in unwanted conditions, complaining and labeling them. Where do you want to be? In the awareness center, between the screens. This is where true joy is, right? That's where that's the present moment. That's where that awareness center is where the God is. That's where everything you want is. Isn't it wonderful? God's got my back, or the universe has my back. My world always takes care of me. Everything's always working out for me. You create these new lovely images by being in the awareness center. How do you do that? By imagining, assuming how you would like things to be as if they were, and telling that story. That keeps you in the awareness center. That's big. So, what's your story? The answer determines your entire life experience right now. Remember, the 3D world, physical reality, is a 3D movie that gives you the illusion of solidity and continuity. Reality is both real and an illusion, and you get to choose what you desire to experience right now with the story you're telling yourself. Live in the awareness center. Live in that love and light by telling the story of how you want your life to be as if it is, by being present, by choosing, imagining, telling the story of how would you like things to be, and they will be. The answer to that question, what's your story, determines your entire life experience. I am your host, Tom Caron, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of Higher Consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button, like and share our videos. That's how we get our message out. Hit us up on Facebook at Be Something Wonderful. You can also join our group, the Be Something Wonderful Ambassadors. It's at facebook.com/groups/Be Something Wonderful. Join us on Facebook, on Instagram and Twitter at Tom Caron. You can visit our website anytime at tomcaron.com or besomethingwonderful.com. With great love, with great light, and infinite gratitude, creators, see you soon.